What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. My name's Kyle. Tonight, Thursday night, we got a football game on here in about 45 minutes. We have the Washington Commanders at the Chicago Bears. I know it's not an exciting game, but nonetheless, we're excited to see some football. And we'll get into some of the player news, the injury updates, and any of the questions you guys might have. We will answer and address there. So I'm going to hop into a screen share. Let's take a peek here. So we'll go over some of the news. When I have questions, I'll answer them. Good evening to Harris. Hope you're doing well, my man. Who do you think I can get for Jeff and Prescott? Non-PPR. Interesting. So Jeff Wilson and Dak Prescott. I'm assuming you don't need a quarterback if you're getting rid of Dak. And because you're sending away a running back, you might be able to get someone to send you back a nice running back or a receiver. So let's take a peek here. And I'm just going to I think Jeff Wilson's kind of like a top 20 running back right now. So if you're looking for, just a one-player back, you're probably looking at a running back of someone of like Aaron Jones, maybe Leonard Fournette, maybe you can buy low on DeAndre Swift. This is non-PPR, so maybe that's not the best advice. You can go check out Breece Hall. I know you like Breece Hall. Josh Jacobs is playing really well. Let me hit the position rankings here. Where is Jeff Wilson? So Jeff Wilson's RB19. I mean, you could try and get Joe Mixon, Dalvin Cook, maybe Miles Sanders. You could try for one of the rookies, Breece Hall, Damien Pierce. I'm probably looking there for running back. And in terms of wide receiver, you're probably looking for someone in this range, whether it's Mike Williams. You could buy low on Amon-Ra St. Brown. A.J. Brown's been kind of quiet the last few games. Portland Sutton, you could try and see about Jamar Chase. You can try and go see about Debo or, CD, DK. I think you're looking at some of those type guys. So a strong wide receiver 2 or a really strong kind of low-end RB1. That's probably where I'd look. But let's look at some of the player news and updates. Again, I'm just using NBC Sports Edge. I like what they got for a format. So it looks like Tyler Lockett has a hamstring. He's limited. That's the first that I've heard about it. So I think he's going to be fine, but we'll monitor his reports tomorrow. For the Bears game tonight, no N'Keal Harry. That's fine. Diami Brown, he had a groin injury, but he's going to be active tonight. So everything looks good there. Let's keep it moving. Tua was limited today, which is really nice. He's already been ruled out, but he's on track to maybe play for week 7. So we'll see. They're going to go forward with Skylar Thompson. I do believe Teddy Bridgewater has a chance to play as well. Good news for Cooper Kupp. I know I got some questions on him yesterday. He was practicing today, so no worries there. Melvin Gordon, limited with a neck and a rib injury. So that's interesting. Again, those teams play on Monday Night Football. And I think if you guys do have Melvin Gordon, I'm open to playing him. But again, I'm super concerned. I think the Broncos are kind of telling us that they don't trust him. They brought in a couple running backs, and they do like Mike Boone as well. So I'm kind of hesitant on Melvin Gordon. Good evening to Aiden. Hope you're doing well, my man. Let me get back to some of the player news here. Keenan Allen, limited back-to-back days, so he's on track to play. That's very good news. I know he plays Monday night, so it's kind of tough in that situation. So I think if you have Keenan Allen, right now he's on track to play. I would expect him to be back in this one, so he can be a wide receiver 3 flex for you. A couple Patriots here, Jonnu Smith and Nelson Aguilar, both limited, same as Jacoby Myers. And then the Patriots brought up Kevin Harris from their practice squad. So now this is a move that strongly says Damien Harris won't be back soon. So it's officially Ramondre Stevens' season. So if you have Ramondre, he's one of the top plays of the week here. Zay Jones limited, Wan'Dale Robinson limited, Saquon limited, no concerns in those guys. It's optimistic that Harris is practicing, but again, I don't think he's going to play. Mac Jones, I expect him to play this week. Samaje Perine limited today. Jameis Winston limited today. Looks like Jake Elliott might be kicking on Sunday Night Football. Let's look at some of these questions. Aiden says, pick 2, PPR, Jeff Wilson, Kenny Walker, Mostert. I'm starting Jeff Wilson Jr. And then I like Kenneth Walker quite a bit. It's a good matchup against the Cardinals defense, to be real. And then as far as the Dolphins matchup, let's actually look at the fantasy points allowed. Let's scroll on down to the RBs. Let me just tap a little zoomage here. So the Arizona Cardinals, kind of decent against the running back. So it's not a great matchup. And if it's full PPR, I don't expect Kenneth Walker to be, getting 3-4 receptions. He's probably going to be only good for a target or 2. So in PPR, I'm not super excited about Kenneth Walker. Whereas Miami, going up against the Vikings with a rookie quarterback, like I would expect Raheem Mostert to be busy. The Vikings have given up 5 rushing touchdowns, so I think I'm going to rank them Jeff, Mostert, Kenneth. And I know everyone's excited about Kenneth Walker. I think he's a really good player, but Raheem Mostert's kind of a hot hand right now. Melvin Gordon or Singletary. I'm going with Singletary. I think the matchup is really good for Melvin Gordon, but again, I don't trust the Broncos in their running back room. I mean, you got Gordon there. Mike Boone looked really good last week, and they're going to activate Latavius Murray in this one. So I'm hesitant on Melvin, and because the Chiefs the Chiefs got lit up by Josh Jacobs the other day. I think Devin Singletary could be in for a nice game. So I'm going to lean with Singletary, and the other part of that equation too is which team is expected to score more points, because that tends to make my decision, and it's clearly Buffalo. Like, they're picked to lead the league in points this week with 28.5. We have to go all the way down here for Denver. Denver is only picked about 20.25. So I'm going to go with Singletary in that one. Kenneth Walker, J.K. Dillon, Doubs. Full PPR, I'm leaning towards the wide receiver Dobbs being an interesting option. I know the Jets have been pretty stingy against the wideout, but I would expect most of their attention to be on Allen Lazard. Let me see here. The Jets, they do rank 14th, so that's kind of average here. They've allowed 6 touchdowns though. So I think Dobbs is interesting, but the safest play of this group is probably Kenneth Walker. I think he's going to get upwards of 15 to 20 carries. So I'm going to say Kenneth Walker is probably the safest play. I don't mind J.K. Dobbins this week. The New York Giants, kind of stingy, though, against the running back. So I'm going to rank them Kenneth Walker. I'll go Dobbs, Dillon, J.K. Travis Etienne Jr. I think you should be able to get Travis Etienne just for one of those guys. I don't know if you need to do 2. That it feels like the Prescott Jeff side's a little bit stronger. I wouldn't be. They've shown us what they think of, like, how they operate with the running back here. Let me look and see what Seattle's been doing. Because Rashad Penny's been kind of activating as the RB1 here. So you see 14, 17, and 12 carries. Not sure what happened in the San Francisco game. I think they just didn't get the run game going. But you see 12, 14, and 17. I think that's kind of your range of outcome for Kenneth Walker this week, 12 to 17 carries. And I mean, last week, 8 for 88. The week before, 8 for 29. And again, all those were with Rashad Penny for the most part. So I think Kenneth Walker probably looking at something like that. Did Freiermuth practice? Let's open up those reports. I don't believe he did. DNP. Pat got a limited practice in today, so that's a very, very strong sign. If he's able to get another limited day in tomorrow, that's opportunistic for his availability on Sunday. So we'll have to monitor his report for sure. Let me go back to some of the player news here. Nick Bosa not practicing. Here's Mike Boone being limited. Russell Wilson being limited. Deontay full practice with a hip injury. No Minkah Fitzpatrick. Interesting. Back-to-back DNP, so not looking good. It looks like Dawson Knox is on track to play. He's been limited. He's been back-to-back limited today and yesterday. How about Brian Robinson tonight, guys? He's getting the start. Again, I know it's the Commanders and the Bears, but I think it's very interesting to see how this backfield's going to look on national television. You have Robinson, you have Gibson and McKissick. So I'm very curious to see how they operate and what they can do against the Bears. The Bears' run defense not very strong. PPR: Sutton, Lockett, Drake, Olave, and then I think Jeff Wilson Jr. is in there, huh? I'm gonna rank. I think Sutton's your strongest play, Lockett your second best play, Olave, and then Drake London. If you're putting Jeff Wilson Jr. up there with those guys, I think I'm gonna slide him in after Sutton and Lockett. It's a good matchup for Jeff Wilson though, so he's kind of the safest floor. But in full PPR, give me Sutton and Lockett over those guys. Everett or Knox, non-PPR. Let's look at the matchups here. So the thing that I'm curious about is what happens to Gerald Everett's targets with a healthy Keenan Allen. He's been benefiting from the absence of Keenan Allen. So Everett going up against the Denver Broncos. Denver kind of middle of the road against tight end, and Dawson Knox going up against the Chiefs. Kansas City's a little bit easier against the tight end. I think I'm going to go with the Chiefs in this one because I expect more points to be had in that game. And I think, again, Buffalo is expected to score 4 touchdowns, if not more. So I'm going to say Dawson Knox if he's good to go. I think he's due for his first touchdown of the season. Jarvis Landry not practicing today, and no Michael Thomas. So maybe Olave's the guy there. He was present at the portion of the practice that was open in the media, so he's participating. But we'll see. How is Duvernay only 20%? Oh, yeah, that's surprising. Let's actually look at that. I want to pull up the wide receivers here. So Mr. Duvernay, he is currently wide receiver 24. I'm seeing him as 65.8% rostered. Oh, he is 28. Okay, so interesting. What's this percentage? That's the fantasy points. So yeah, that needs to be owned. I mean, if you're in a 10-man league, I think I get it. It's hard to get him on your team, but with the foot injury to Rashad Bateman, like, look at these numbers. These are pretty juicy numbers. Last week, 7 targets, 5 for 54, 3 for 24 on the ground. I mean, if we can expect that, as a floor going forward with no Bateman, I'm pretty excited about this. So he's a big piece of their offense. He might be their best offensive playmaker outside of Mark Andrews. So I'm in full agreement. And especially in a 12-team league, like, Duvernay needs to be rostered right now. Which one would you rather have, Aaron Jones, Stevenson, or David Montgomery, non-PPR? It's probably Ramondre Stevenson this week. If you're talking for the rest of the season, it's Aaron Jones. But for this week and maybe next week, it's Ramondre. Because I mean, Damien Harris, he's probably not playing this week, maybe for next week. But so that's how I'll put it. Short term, you want Stevenson. Long term, give me Aaron Jones. David Montgomery, I'm just not excited about that backfield or that team in general. I think a little bit more fruit to be had in the Packers and the Patriots offense right now. I do want to look at Montgomery, though. Where is Mr. Montgomery? So I think he's played 2 full games. 3 full games. So he has a nice range of outcomes. When he doesn't get a touchdown, he can get you 8 to 15 points. Good evening to Ryan. Did Tyler Higbee practice today? I know Cooper Kupp did today. And Tyler Higbee, they don't have their stuff in here. Let's actually go look at that and see if we can find Mr. Higbee. So they still only have him in there for Wednesday. Let me go to Twitter real quick and see if I can find something on Tyler Higbee. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Who's going to win tonight, the Commanders or the Chicago Bears? I'm just curious. I think it's pretty split. I don't see anything here. So I'm seeing Fantasy Pro says Higbee returned to practice today, so that's good news. It looked like the Rams were kind of just being cautious yesterday. Like, they gave a lot of guys no practice. Like, I'm sure Aaron Donald probably was limited today. So we'll see. I think the Rams are going to be just fine. Aaron Jones or Damien Pierce rest of season. I probably got to say Damien Pierce, man. He's looked so damn good, and he's kind of locked into 15 to 20 touches. I think the Texans have proved to us that they're going to be a pretty physical team, and they're going to have their opportunities to establish the run. And even when they're losing, they're still going to get Damien Pierce involved. And the thing I like about Pierce the most, and especially if you're playing in a PPR, I guess if you're playing in a PPR league, Harris, that's where it gets a little interesting for Damien Pierce. So currently RB10 on the season, which is outstanding. But look at his reception. So 1-1 the first 2 games, but then 2, 6, and 3. If he can kind of, establish a 2 to 3 reception floor each game, like, we're looking really, really strong here. And I mean, 20 carries, 26 carries. I think it's Damien Pierce over Aaron Jones right now, which is pretty crazy. Aiden's got the Bears tonight. John Brown, thanks for hanging out, my man. Back with a tough one. He says, if T. Higgins is out, do I go Juju or Randall Cobb? Juju has been pretty disappointing, to say the least, so far. Let me go see where Juju is ranked right now. He is currently wide receiver 50 on the year. He's had 8 targets in 3 straight games, which is nice. So you're seeing this range of 6 to 14 points. That's okay. No touchdowns on the year. I do expect them to have to throw a ton against Buffalo. So if you're thinking what I'm thinking, like, he's going to probably see these 8 targets. I don't know if it's going to be a double-digit game. Whereas Randall Cobb, I mean, last week, Randall Cobb looked like old Randall Cobb. Like, he looked really, really spry and healthy. I mean, 13 targets is a little outrageous, but I will say the good news for Cobb this week is I doubt Christian Watson's going to play. And again, I doubt we're going to see this 13 targets, but you look at the games here where Christian Watson played, you got 6, 7, and 7. So if you can stomach about a 7-point floor, you might be able to get Randall Cobb's first touchdown. So I think I'm going to lean with Randall Cobb right now. He's playing really well. It's a home game. That might be a pretty good chance for Randall Cobb to get his first touchdown on the year. Can I get Justin Jefferson if I switch Jeff for Joe Mixon? You could try. I mean, Joe Mixon and Dak Prescott, man, that sounds pretty good. Let me go to a trade, Roto trade here. If you guys ever want to play with this, it's called Roto Trade, and they have a really good system here where you can click redraft, dynasty, whatever setting you need. So I'm just going to type in my guys, Dak, and we'll type in Slick Mixon here, and then we'll put on Justin Jefferson. Where is he? And then you just hit analyze trade, and it's saying to go for it. So I mean, Mixon and Prescott only getting about 83.5 points, 91. If it is full PPR there, Harris, it does look good for you on that side. Thoughts on Fields over 170? I mean, I would tend to stay away from anything on the Justin Fields passing props. Let's look and see how many times has he been over it this year. He's been over it twice this year, and each in the last 2 games. So I think I'll say over. John Stewart, thanks for hanging out with us. Let's see what you got here. Traded Najee and Renfro for Dobbins and Lazard. I'm cool with it. I mean, for sure, I want Lazard over Renfro. I think he's a pretty valuable piece right now for the Packers. And if we look at Lazard's stats, like he's really consistent. He's currently wide receiver 34 on the year, and he did miss week 1. But I mean, look at these numbers here. So week 1, he did get the touchdown, but 3 targets and then 6, 8, and 8. So I think he's going to be between somewhere in that 6 to 8 target range. You look at the points here, really, really nice. I think Lazard is the clear upgrade over Renfro. And then right now, man, I mean, Najee Harris and the Steelers, like I don't want to be a part of anything with that. Let's see here. Najee Harris currently RB27. The last 2 games, 6.6 and 7.4. I think if you can get out of Najee Harris, I mean, they play Tampa Bay, Miami, and Philly, and New Orleans. Like it's some tough sledding here. So I think I'm gonna go with the Dobbins and the Lazard side here. Let's actually type it in here. Najee, and we'll go with Renfro, and we would be getting J.K. Dobbins and Lazard. Let's see what we got. I'm assuming it's redraft PPR 1 QB. And it's saying you're giving up that value here, but it's really close. Again, I view Dobbins and Harris pretty much similarly. So I'm going to take Dobbins and Lazard. PPR, Pitts or Njoku? I'm going Njoku. Yep, Njoku. You're good to go. Let's see, Lazard or Curtis Samuel PPR. I'll go Lazard because I think he's got more opportunities for touchdowns, and he's seeing about 8 targets per game, which is pretty nice. So I think I'll attach myself to that. I do think Samuel's going to have a nice PPR floor of like maybe 9 to 10 points, but I'm cool with waiting for Lazard. A home game for Lazard. He's been on a touchdown streak. But either way, Harris, both guys really strong wide receiver 3s this week. So it's kind of a good question. I think I'm going to go Lazard though. Dobbins for Gallup. Should I? If you're running back, if you don't need Dobbins, by all means, go ahead and do so. Like I know you said you had Najee. So if you're acquiring Dobbins and if you have a good stable of backs and you don't need Dobbins, I'm cool with it. I think Gallup is a guy that he's passed the test the first 2 weeks of him being back. And if you look at his numbers here, he did catch a touchdown week 1. You can't expect that every week, but last week, 4 for 44 on 5 targets, 8.4. That's probably going to be where he settles in there, about 8 to 10 points for a floor. He gets a tough matchup this week against Philly, but Detroit, Chicago, Green Bay, Minnesota, the Giants, Colts. Like this is a nice schedule for the Cowboys, and of course Dak Prescott in the wings here. So I like Michael Gallup. Curtis Samuel or Deontay? Assuming that's Deontay Johnson. That one's tougher. Let me look and see where we have Deontay. Let me hit PRK. So Deontay's been a nice volume play. And with Kenny Pickett, like they're gonna throw the ball a lot. Like last week, 5 for 60. So like I feel pretty confident. Like I think Deontay's probably a better play this week. So I'll go Deontay. My other RBs are Mixon, Gordon, Robinson, and Algier. Um, I I think you're gonna want to keep Dobbins. I'm excited. I'm excited about Brian Robinson. I don't know if I trust Gordon or Algier. So I mean, I think you're gonna want to hold on to Dobbins here. If you have the need, if you can start Gallup at wide receiver, I'm open to it. But I think it's probably in your best interest to hold on to Dobbins. If you could flip Melvin Gordon for Gallup, I think I'm more excited about that. I appreciate you, my man. Hope you're having a good evening. Curtis Samuel or JD McKissick PPR. I'm going with Curtis Samuel. I like JD a lot. JD in full PPR, that's the format you want to have him in. But in terms of, Samuel's just been super steady. He's been kind of dipping in targets 7 and 8, but you're pretty much guaranteed 7 to 10 targets tonight. No Jahan Dotson, no Logan Thomas. I think that's where you want to make your spot. You just came out about Commanders trade talks. What? Benjamin or JD McKissick PPR? That's the question I meant to send. Eno Benjamin or JD McKissick? We're going with Eno Benjamin. It does look like James Conner's not going to play in this week, and he might not play next week. So Eno Benjamin is the guy, and I know they have Darrell Henderson there, but I don't think Darrell Williams. But Darrell Williams has been back-to-back DNPs as well. So it's Eno Benjamin's backfield. If you guys do have Eno Benjamin, or even John, if you can go get Eno Benjamin off your waiver wires, like I would go do that. Make your backfield stronger. But anyways, we'll hang out for another maybe 8 minutes or so. I try to keep this about a half an hour on Thursday night. So if you guys are new, definitely hit the like on the video here. Subscribe if you're new. We do this every Thursday night, starting at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. So let me go back to some of the player news here and see if we can dig up any new relevant news for us. I'm excited to see Brian Robinson tonight. That's probably what I'm going to be watching for. I'm very curious to see how Carson Wentz plays tonight, because he's got that. I think he has the rib injury thing going on. And then there's the James Conner, expected to miss week 6 and perhaps additional time. So if you still can go get Eno Benjamin off the waiver wire, I highly recommend going to get him. Commanders have been engaged in. Interesting. William Jackson. Okay. Could be a nice asset I'm excited about the trade deadline this year. I think it's going to be kind of juicy. And I think all eyes are going to be on the Carolina Panthers to see if they're kind of officially got the tank on. But we will see. No Rashad Bateman today at practice. So fire up Devin Duvernay if you guys got him in PPR leagues. No Christian Watson. So again, I'm open to Lazard, Dobbs, and Randall Cobb this week. I think they're all interesting wide receiver 3s, flex options. No T. Higgins today. So that's back to back. So that makes me a little bit nervous about his availability this week. And me being I'm a T. Higgins homer. I have him in a ton of leagues. I almost rather him sit out this week and just get healthy. I want T. Higgins healthy. If you can plug in a guy like Curtis Samuel or Romeo Dobbs or something like that, I think that's probably the way to go this week. Kadarius Toney working outside with the trainers, officially DNP. No Kenny Golladay. Dak Prescott, he's limited today, but I think we're going to see him next week. Odell Beckham, expected to be out until mid-November. But the problem, I've been getting some Odell Beckham questions, like should you pick him up? I'm not super excited to, because you're going to have to burn an IR spot for the next month or so. And when he does come back, is he going to be explosive? Is he going to be, usable right away? I'd almost rather let someone else, fall on that, but we'll see. Naheem Hines, limited with a concussion today. I think he's on track to play. Jonathan Taylor on track to play, returning to practice. So that's big news there. Benjamin or Walker, non-PPR. Because it's non-PPR, I will go with Kenneth Walker. I think that's the format where he looks the best. He's going to be, again, I think in that 12 to 17 carry range. If they get close, they're going to continue to ram him in there. So I think Walker is the guy. If that was a full PPR question, I'd probably go with Eno. Oh, okay. Harrison Butker is going to be back kicking on Sunday against the Bills. That's good news there. Raheem Mostert returning to practice. That's a good move there. Cameron Brate practicing. No Julio Jones. We shouldn't be worrying about Julio Jones. Russell Gage is back. I'm not really excited about that. This one's interesting. If you guys play in dynasty leagues, Cade Otton could have a decent growing role in the Bucs offense going forward, and he actually got some hype this preseason because they obviously didn't have Gronk, and a lot of people were looking at Cade Otton as being a guy that could potentially step into a bigger role. And as a rookie, last week 6 for 43 on 7 targets. That's if he's going to see between 4 and 7 targets, we're going to be talking about him on the waiver wire for tight ends just because it's an absolute mess. So file this name away. We might even be talking about him in redraft league soon. I don't think so. Especially coming off a concussion, he's had a couple nice games, 6 and 8 targets. I don't love it. It's at Pittsburgh. It's kind of a tough matchup. I think there's other tight ends that I would probably rather play. Let me actually look at this, see if we can find some interesting tight ends that are maybe not as owned. So Cameron Brate's really low owned. If you could play Evan Ingram, Robert Tonyan, even Irv Smith, something like that. I think that's probably where I would go. But yeah, the emergence of Cade Otton here takes a little bit of steam off of Cameron Brate. So I would pass. You're pretty much hoping for a touchdown. Maybe he catches 1 or 2 balls for a touchdown, but overall it's not an exciting play. But we'll hang out again for another 3 or so minutes. If you guys got questions, please fire them up. I'm just kind of going through the player news and the practice updates today. No Marshawn Lattimore today, so that could be very interesting for Jamar Chase and some of the Bengals receivers. There's the William Jackson trade talks, very interesting. He signed a 3-year, $42 million contract, so that might be interesting to try and get that off the books. A couple players here for the Dolphins, and then now we're into the Wednesday stuff. So Matt Bain, what's going on, my man? Asking when can I cut Darnell Mooney? Hold on to him tonight, because if there's going to be a game for him to pop off, it's going to be tonight. And the Bears offense has been throwing the ball better the last 2 weeks. So I think you hold on to Mooney just for tonight. If he bombs tonight, it's Washington. Like we should love this matchup. The Commanders here, very, very bad against the wide receiver position. They allow about 40 points per game to the wide receivers. So if Mooney can get a 15 to 20 point game tonight, then he's back on the menu. Prediction for tonight, worse than last week's game. No, there's going to be more points tonight. Last week 12-9. There's going to be more points tonight. The over under is 37.5, I believe. I think the Commanders are going to do it. They need a win desperately. Carson Wentz, I believe he's undefeated on Thursday Night Football as well. So I'm gonna lean with the Commanders. I'll go 20-16 or something like that. Andrew says, if Higgins is out, is Hurst a good play? Yes, if Higgins is out, I do like Hayden Hurst. The New Orleans Saints, though, they are pretty stingy against tight end. Having a lot of touchdown all year, so it's not by any means like a great play, but it's a solid play. Did Schultz practice today? Schultz did not practice today. I don't think he's going to play this week, so prepare for no Schultz. Starting him on because my whole team is on bye. It's actually a good opportunity for Darnell Mooney tonight. I wouldn't be surprised if he has a nice game. I'm hoping he can hit 10 to 12 PPR points. We just put the 6-leg parlay. Fields rushing, Monty TD, Sly field goals, Wentz TDs, Wentz completions, Monty yards. Okay, we'll see it. So you're leaning into the passing options tonight. That's a bold move, but sometimes you got to do it. It's a fun. I'm looking forward to the game. I'm excited to see what the Commanders' backfield looks like. The split between Robinson, Gibson, and McKissick. I want to see how Brian Robinson looks, and then with the Bears' offenses, like, can they get the passing game going? Like, can we finally start using Mooney? Can we start finally using Kmet? Maybe we get a little better game than we bargained for. But that's going to do it for me. I will be available if you guys want to reach out to me on Twitter with any questions. I can answer those for you. We'll be doing the live show on Saturday night, so come back Saturday night, hang out, and we'll do the live show Sunday morning as well. And yeah, I think it's going to be more high scoring than we think. I could see 2 touchdowns on each side, and maybe a couple of field goals on each side. So maybe like a 24-20 type game where it comes down to whoever has the ball last situation. But anyways, enjoy the game. Good luck tonight if you guys got players going, and thank you for watching. We'll see you guys in a future video. Peace.